Steve, the guru that he is in this boxing space, I know he went on and did the three down knockdown rule with Mario Lopez yesterday. Lamont apparently is next, talking shit on Twitter. What was the outcome of that fight, Steve, to all our fans here today that didn't see our live? What did you think of the controversial decision?
Lamont Roach won a draw. And it is funny, Smitty, so we're there. This is about 20 minutes before the main event. They're going through the pre-fight stuff, and I looked over to Coach. I said, Coach, if Lamont wins, I go, let's do a live, because this will be pretty big. Now, I thought Lamont would be very respectable. I told people, outside of power, Lamont Roach checks every box. He's fast, he's quick, he's got boxing IQ, very sharp technique, he's got a good head on his shoulders, he's tough, and he's not going to be intimidated because he is from the Beltway. These guys know each other. There's a familiarity, which breeded a little bit of contempt. And I knew he'd be good early on. I did not think he'd be able to hold off Tank. Smitty, not only did he not just hold off Tank, I thought he came on in the late rounds. The Roach actually ran down the Tank. He grew in stature during the fight. He got more confidence. And in the 9, 10, 11, and 12, when he went into the high guard and started peeking his head inside, and he said, okay, I'm going to get to the trenches here. I said, oh, this is dangerous. But you know what? He more than held his own with one of the most vicious punchers in the game. I personally thought he won the fight. I thought the 9th round was an absolute travesty from Steve. What you talking about, Willis? We can get into that. So near the end, I said, Coach, no matter what happens here, there's going to be something to talk about. Let's set up.
Yeah.
And this is before the decision.
Yeah, that's
smart. Let's set up. And then when they said draw, I said, hurry up. So,
no.
And then we had a great show, and I'm really happy for Lamont. I'm trying to get him on the show. I just texted him. He texted me back. He's been incredibly busy. Yeah. Something's going on because he said, Steve, I'd love to do the interview with you guys, except I've been advised not to do interviews till a few things are cleared up. And this is my guess, they're going to file a protest with the New York State Athletic Commission. That's what I think.
I've been seeing the rumors online that the commission's been like kind of investigating or looking at the knee to see if they want to change the ruling from a draw to a win for Roach. Listen, I went back and watched the fight too because I wanted to like really like all right with no emotions just watch the fight. I don't like draws, but I honestly thought it was a draw. I thought this was a legit. I thought Tank was up 4-2 the first 6 rounds. And then I thought on that back half, to your point, Steve, is when Roach started to really get going and make that comeback. But I thought in those later rounds, there were a few rounds where they were just scrapping, where it could kind of go either way. It's like if you went Tank, I'm not mad. If you went Roach, I'm not mad. And I think it was really, really tight.
Well,
take out the knee, then I think it's a tie.
Yeah. Well, Smitty, the first half of the fight, there were a lot of rounds where both guys really didn't do anything. So
the first two for sure, yeah.
And so then the back half, there were rounds where they both did a lot. So the tough rounds can be coming in a lot of different varieties.
Yeah.
I was stunned, and I told this to Coach. When Larry Hazard had it 5-1 on the PBC scorecard, I said, there's no way.
Yeah.
I said, there's no way. I thought the first 2 rounds I gave to Lamont.
Me
don't
too.
think Tank did anything.
Yep.
Now, by round 6 and 7, I'm thinking, here comes Tank.
Yeah,
Tank's rolling. But something happened with Lamont at 35. It's not like he suddenly became a great puncher. I think not making those 5 pounds gave him more physical strength. He looked very durable and strong. He was the guy in the center of the ring. He backed up Gervonta Davis just as much as he got backed up, and he hit him with a few key counter shots. Now, to your point, when people say the word robbery, and me and Whitlock talked about this, he said, Steve, is this one of the worst robberies that you've ever seen? And I said to him, well, I mean, in the context of, is it Pernell Whitaker getting jobbed against Chavez? No. Is it Ollie getting a gift against Ken Norton in their 3rd fight? No. Is it Felix Sturm getting absolutely stolen from against De La Hoya? No. But in the context of everything that led into it, specifically round 9, that's when it becomes kind of bad. The rule is very simple. If you take a voluntary knee without a foul, that is a knockdown. There's actually a light jab. In a split second, he took a knee. If that was a left hook to the body, people would say, well, that's a delayed reaction. Steve Willis actually started the count. Magically, he stopped it. The other rule is to the letter of the law. If you get corner assistance and there is no timeout or a stoppage in the fight, that's an automatic DQ, guys.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I knew that, Smitty, and I don't even know boxing like you guys. And I asked Steve that when we went live. I said, no, I thought if the corner touched you or went on to the actual mat, it was a DQ. And Steve said it is. I said, damn.
Unless that referee calls timeout, there's too much Vaseline on the face, he'll call the corner up, they'll wipe it off. But the fighter himself is not allowed to say, hey, hold up, fellas. Look out for the ropes. And then he gets like this whole, I'm like, what? And I was stunned.
It's like Patrick Mahomes in the fucking in the gun takes a drop and then tells the ref, hold on.
The ball wet.
Hey, Steve, is this one of the most? Is this one of the more? If I had to ask you, is this one of the more justified appeals? If it is an appeal, as we think, it'll be justified, won't it?
Look, I've never actually seen an appeal work, and here's the issue. And if someone said, Steve, what if they overturned the decision because in that 9th round, 2 of those judges gave the round to Tank, so it absolutely flipped the decision. The problem is, and there is a problem, you're creating a slippery slope now.
You are.
Now you're setting this precedent, and then where does it end? I'm hoping, here's what I think should happen. Steve Willis should be suspended. I'm not saying he should be fired. He should be suspended. I would take him off main events for a while. That was egregious.
And you like him.
Steve being in the ring, he be really into it.
He's got a good track record, but that right there, damn. I talked to somebody that spoke to the head of that commission. They know they're under the gun. They know that they have an issue. And now they're saying that our instant replay didn't work because there was a technical malfunction. Oh, okay, so nobody had a score.
Yeah, that's what I heard. They said that there's a technical malfunction. Why would that? That's a bad excuse. Let me see. Break down real quick because I learned something that night on the live. Smitty probably knows this, but break it down to the chat here. So explain the deduction if it were to happen for him taking a knee. It wasn't an automatic. It's an actual deduction, not a gain. Correct?
Well, here's what it is. Yeah. It's a 10-point must system. So the winner of the round always has to get a 10 points. Yep. I hate when there's double knockdowns and people say, well, that should be 9-9. No. Someone has to get 10. And then if there's a penalty, then you take it off. Okay? Yeah. So generally, in a knockdown round, as long as you fight pretty well the rest of the round, you get that extra point. It's 10-8. Yeah. I hear all the time, well, if it's a knockdown, it's an automatic 10-8 round. No, it's not. Because if you get beat up the rest of the round, but you throw a left hook that flashes out of nowhere, that judge can make it 10-9. In fact, they could actually make it 10-10, although most commissions dissuade judges from giving even rounds. In that particular situation, if you watch the rest of round 9, it was pretty competitive. Yeah. I could see a judge saying, well, it's not 10-8 for Roach, but it's 10-9. That is still a 2-point flip. Because you go 10-9 from Tank to 10-9 to Roach, that's really a 2-point difference. If you go by the math, because it goes from -1 to +1 the other side. 2 of the judges had it for Gervonta Davis. I actually think Lamont may have won the last 4 rounds, if not 3 out of the 4. So we also talk about the context of what is a robbery. The fact that Lamont had to win the 12th on 2 of the 3 judges to get a draw. Man, that deck was completely stacked against Lamont.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Really
he had to get 2 out of 3, Smitty, to get a draw, even with the knee. That's what the crazy part is.
Well, at that point, we already knew that the knee wasn't a knockdown.
It's almost like it didn't happen, though.
Yeah.
That knee went into the Bermuda
I'm just saying, just imagine, though, that Davis wins.
But I guess being devil's advocate, if he did count that as a knockdown, I would argue that Tank's approach might be even a little different, too, knowing that, hey, they just count it as a knockdown. You got to even, and not saying he wasn't aggressive already, but I just think as a fighter, if you know you got knocked down, it's just another level of like, damn,
right,
I'm down. So we don't know how that would have changed it, right?
there's no doubt he might have fought differently, knowing, oh, geez, I got a 10-8 round against me. And that fight was really close going into 11 and 12.
It was.
But I'm really happy for Lamont. I think he's going to be able to parlay this into something regardless. I've known Lamont for most of his career. He's a very solid individual. And I told him last year, he beat this Irish guy named Fergal McCrory on a Pro Box show in D.C., sold some tickets. He fought with a purpose and an intensity I had not seen. And I told him this before. I said, Lamont, your skills are not the problem. Because I think you're a little bit too passive. And I told him right to his face, I said, Lamont, he goes, this is not the Bible. The meek shall not inherit the earth in boxing. You got to be a little bit more of an MFer. And I'm just telling you, on that night, that summer, he became an MFer. And I texted him after the fight, and I said, Lamont, he goes, you have grown as a fighter. I go, do not let yourself take off a year, though. You've got some momentum. You beat Hector Luis Garcia on a pay-per-view show. You were underneath the Caleb Plant. No, it was the Demetrius Andre Benavides fight.
Got you.
That was a good win. Then he came back last summer, and I said, you have momentum. Keep it going. And the Lamont Roach that I saw in 2018 that lost to Jamel Herring is no longer that guy in 2025. I think he has arrived as a professional prize fighter.
Steve, is that so? Is this Twitter beef that's going on, the back and forth yesterday we saw? I don't know if Bailey has it, but is this second fight legit? Did Davis agree?
Davis seemed.
Your bitch ass just happy you didn't get knocked out.
Davis flip-flops more than a politician on the campaign trail. I mean, last week he said on Wednesday at the PBC Open workout, you know what, for my own good, I need to be more active. I want to fight 3 times. Yeah, 3 times. That's fine. Then the next day gets on with Stephen A. Smith. Yeah, I'm getting, I might retire, man, soon. Bro.
That's my thing. I feel like, listen, I like Roach. That's a hell of a fighter. It has nothing to do with Roach. He put on a great fight. I just feel like, to your point, Tank was weird this whole lead up to this fight. It's like he was, I don't know. I'm not saying he's 1 foot in, 1 foot out. It just seemed like mentally he wasn't all the way there.
And then Smitty on Saturday, he says, yeah, well, we could do the rematch. Probably won't be next. And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, someone, who visited my dressing room. And by the way, one of those people I heard was Jake Paul, just saying. And we're like, what? Then Monday, I think, here's what I think happened. He saw what was being said on social media on Sunday, and he flip-flopped right back.
Because, Steve, you know more than me. Tank is emotional, and he doesn't like getting embarrassed. So I think he's more motivated now for the rematch than he was for the official match because he's pissed off.
I've always said about Tank Davis, anytime he tweets something, you better screenshot it because there's a good chance he's going to delete it in an hour.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of screenshots of Tank Davis. I don't know because he's so volatile.
Yeah. He ain't delete these, though. So he might be ready. I don't know.
Steve.
Gallery with Tank Davis deleted tweets.
Yeah.
Stephen, before we move on, I just got to ask you one last question. This boxing segment, I'm sure, will be a video today on the channel. Why aren't the best fighting each other anymore as we grew up with Hagler, Hearns, Duran, and all these guys? Is it all money? Is it all safe spaces? I want longevity. I don't want to work as hard. I don't want to fight as much per year. We used to see 3-4 fights a year. Now we're seeing one every year or two in Gervonta Davis's. Where are you at with that question? Like, why is it Shakur fighting Davis? Why isn't it?
Everyone avoids Shakur because they avoid him like AIDS in 1989. And I think that's a damn shame. And you know me, I'm not the greatest Shakur fan, but I know.
You mean Rock Hudson? Rock Hudson?
Oh, hey, come on.
Go ahead.
You say safe spaces. That's a very interesting term. A lot of these fighters, this game is now more divided. There are more major promoters. It's not just Aram King, HBO, Showtime. Right. There are also more platforms and networks who then sign these fighters to exclusive deals. So they're basically stuck in their own galaxy or island, and not enough people find it worth their while to co-promote. Mm-hmm. Okay, and that's one of the reasons why Crawford Spence was delayed by at least 3 years. Mayweather Pacquiao was delayed by at least 4.5, 5 years because nobody wanted to break bread in the middle of the table. Now, you talk about, I wanted to address something. I keep hearing that Tank Davis Well, he overlooked Lamont. Okay. But here's the issue, though, guys. And you guys played sports, and you guys played in a sport that had a regular schedule. And I'm sure you guys had games where you overlooked an opponent. But isn't overlooking generally for athletes who have a set schedule that play on a regular time frame?
Right.
When you fight once or twice a year, and you fight maybe once every 8 to 9 months, there's no excuse to overlook anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm going to fight once a year, that one fight is kind of important to me. Now, if you're Evander Holyfield ringside and Mike Tyson's fighting Buster Douglas, knowing, all right, I got to just get through this 42-1 fight, then I get to fight the real. I can see that being an overlooked situation.
Right.
But when you are fighting so infrequently, I don't really like that excuse. I don't. The Dodgers play 162 games a year. Do they overlook a couple games? Last game of a road trip. They just want to, yeah, that happens. Do the Lakers in the NBA, do they load management saying, hey, last game, of course they do. I don't believe the modern day boxer has that excuse. I really don't. And I think that is taking credit away from the performance of Lamont Roach.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah. Well, I just hope they actually rematch. I thought it was a good fight. Regardless of what side, it was a good fight. And I hope the rematch happens soon, like Tank is saying, the end of May. Because May is gonna be a big month. They got a great fight card. Was it May 2nd? Where I think Haney's on that, Rowley and
the
Ryan
press
Garcia.
Conference is today. So here's what's gonna happen: Cinco de Mayo weekend. That Friday, Times Square. That card with Ryan, Tio, and Haney. Basically tune-ups. Although I think Tio has to take on his mandatory and Arnold Barboza. That's probably the best fight of that whole card.
Yeah.
Rolly Romero and Ryan.
Entertaining.
That's going to be an entertaining press conference today if Rolly brings out a certain personal situation. And Ryan has already said on Twitter, if you cross the line, I'm going to slap you, bro. Also, Devin has to take on the faded version of Jose Ramirez, so we'll see that. Then Saturday, from the land of the Kingdom Arena, Saudi Arabia, Canelo Alvarez takes on William Skull. That's a smash job. And then there are reports, and I've also heard this, Inoue might fight on a Sunday in Las Vegas. So that's going to be like this big boxing extravaganza. Yeah, in Vegas. It's like Neil Diamond coming to America.
Who is?
Naoya Inoue.
Inoue. He's the guy who always fights at 2 o'clock in the fucking morning because he's overseas, but he's arguably the pound-for-pound best fighter in the game. His power is crazy at that weight division. I would love to see him fight in person. He just never over here. So it's it's hard to really see him.
He will draw big. I'm not liking the fact that the hotel and everyone thinks you need a Mexican because of the particular weekend. My view is this. Let him fight the best available guy, and you load the undercard up with Mexicans. That's what I would do. But Inoue is not going to make a lot of appearances. This will be his 4th in America. And I tell people, if it's on your bucket list to see him fight live, you may want to do it that day.
Yeah, I might have to figure it out because he a bad boy. But that's a hell of a just weekend though, just a box.
You can't go. You can't go. Too many Mexicans up there. You can't go to that.
I'm great. Me Mexican. I'm great. I've got 10% Mexican in me.